Another episode of the AAU Overtime Podcast. Jordan DeLuciano, as always. And now joining me is Siobhan Nolan. Everyone knows Siobhan. She's been interviewing everyone all across AAU social media for so far the first half of this entire tournament. As we had a late night last night, so we are not doing a day three.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, by the time if we would have did a day three recap, it would have been probably like 12:30, close to 1 in the morning. So we said, no, let's just do it tomorrow morning, which is now.
Works just as well.
Yeah, and then we'll tackle as well day 4 because D3 is here today. Their games kicked off at the 9 o'clock hour. But Siobhan, you had D2 coming in yesterday. What was it like talking to the D2 players on their day one?
There's a lot of energy there, a lot of personality. You can tell they love to be in front of the camera, and that's really great for me because when you have people that love to just be on camera, ask questions, they have, all their teammates behind and they're all like filming each other and cheering each other on. So it's a good time. Even when you're interviewing at, 11 o'clock at night, it was still a lot of energy. So it kept me awake, thankfully.
They make your job easier, because sometimes you get the interviewers just the quick one-word answers, But we had Tampa. They knocked out Georgia in that win-or-go-home game, and Tampa had a good show out at midnight almost?
Oh, yeah, and they were all telling me, you got to ask about this, this, and this, and guys wanted to chirp, and we had 2 guys that were originally supposed to do the interview. They didn't show up in time, and so the coach was like, all right, I'm bringing in a stand-in. So I do the interview with the stand-in, and then the 2 original guys show up, and they're like, can we still do one? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah,
I got nothing else to do.
Yeah, the game-winning goal guy. He's like, why not? It's the end of the day, jump on in.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll do 2 interviews. But before we get into what happened yesterday with Division 1, we had some Division 2 matchups, day 1 of that. Also got to keep in mind, not just the pool winners move on, the wild card. So if you lose day 1, not all hope is gone.
Exactly.
As right off the bat, a number 1 seed in the pool, Tennessee, knocked off 6-5 against Union. I told everyone about Union. Everyone doubted me. But Union knocks off Tennessee, and Tennessee came in with a lot of momentum, but they fall to the 4th seed in the pool.
Yeah, these college hockey South teams, we've seen it with D1 too. They're not messing around. And they've said in their interviews consistently, we want to represent the South. We want to show these Northern teams that Southern teams came here to play. So they're coming, a lot of them are coming in with that chip on their shoulder. And they have that, big SEC school kind of support. So it's pretty interesting to me that Tennessee got knocked off the way they did because they have that momentum and everyone was wearing orange. Like it was a good show out for them for sure.
Yeah, but just no one knows much about teams that are buried like in the upstate New York area, like Union, so they don't get as much exposure. Now they come to the tournament, it's like, whoa, these guys are for real. And another team like that is Bishops. Bishops 5-2 win over Vanderbilt. Bishops, one of their top teams in all of the pools in D2 as they continue their winning ways. But then the best team in Division 2, Florida Atlantic, knocking off Ramapo. Things got dicey there. Yeah. It was a 3-0 lead, turned 3-2, but FAU comes out on top. They're 1-0. Yeah,
the Florida teams are definitely the dangerous ones to look out for. And we've had a lot of high-scoring games like that. Guys getting 4 or 5 goals and they're here to make these statements, and even when they're playing late at night, you can tell in the way that they talk and the way that they describe their own games, there's a lot of grit there, there's a lot of determination, and they're all really, really gunning for that D2 trophy.
Another top team in Division 2, High Point, takes care of Farmingdale State. 3-0 shutout for the Panthers. Tampa, not only their D1 team took care of business, their D2 team as well. So both Tampa teams. No, actually, it was a trifecta. D1 took care of business, D2 took care of business, and the women's team took care of business today. They're in the win column.
Yeah, Tampa, across the board, obviously, they're showing out. And against D1 Farmingdale, they have been having a great tournament so far. So it was kind of surprising for me to see the D2 team get shut out. But we did have a Michigan attempt from the D2 Farmingdale team. So that was pretty cool to see. Like, even when you're 3-0 down, just attempting Michigans, as
that
you
Farmingdale
do.
Team, a little banged up, but they're going up against the top team in their pool, High Point. That's very important in terms of tiebreakers, goals against average differential. So a shutout on day one can go a long way.
Absolutely.
Also have Florida taking care of business, a 7-0 win for the Gators there. I don't think I'm missing any other D2. Mass Maritime knocking off Anna Maria 6-4. Tampa knocks off Brockport. And here was a big one. It was almost, a 60-something save shutout. Alabama Huntsville's Cameron Crawford, 53 save shutout against UCF. What a start.
Yeah, I mean, we've had multiple games where these goalies are facing just an unbelievable amount of shots. You go look at the scoreboard, you see the shots that they face, and you're like, there's got to be some kind of mistake. Like Binghamton, their women's goalie faced 68 shots yesterday. So it's really cool actually to see so much offense and seeing just shot after shot on goal. I mean, as a goalie, I'm not a goalie, but I'm saying if I were a goalie, I could not imagine just facing that many pucks coming at me in a game.
Yeah, I popped my head in during that Alabama Huntsville game, and the shot totals were really against them. And so I'm like, wait, that's the right score. They're up 2-0.
Like, so it's insane.
That's how you can win one. You got to steal some games. And then Clemson taking care of business 5-2, and Penn State Harrisburg taking care of business 4-1. But then yesterday, the Division I, things got very hectic. We talked about Tampa, close game, knocking off Georgia 3-2. They win their pool. And then we have Farmingdale. That was a situation where there were so many different scenarios. But Farmingdale takes care of business. They sweep their pool. They're moving on. The other two pools were decided in absolute chaos, starting things off with the Niagara, South Carolina game. Gamecocks, 2-0 the whole game. 3-minute mark hits, everything goes off the rails. Niagara makes it 2-1, 3 seconds left. Niagara ties it, but then the Gamecocks in overtime. 2 overtime wins, South Carolina moves on.
I mean, that's one of those games where you could not script it better if you tried. And, Niagara's been very strong, but South Carolina, those overtime wins, they play that full 60 and they can skate. They have the stamina. And in talking to their players after the game, I mean, they kind of have another chip on their shoulder because they're like, we didn't have as deep of a run as we would have wanted to this year. We're taking it all the way. And we want to bring that trophy back to South Carolina.
South Carolina, sneaky team, actually, they are the lowest seed remaining. It's weird to say that, but I believe they're the 7th seed, so they get Tampa. So College Hockey South, they run it back. And then Farmingdale, trying to figure out who they're going to play. Their game ended right before the other chaos ended. So Buffalo needed to beat Bonaventure in regulation yesterday. If they didn't, and it went to overtime, let's say, Bonaventure wins the pool based off points, and they move on. Bonaventure wins, they also just move on as well. So Buffalo won one game. They got to pull their goalie with 2 minutes left, 20 seconds left in the game. Buffalo scores. They scored again just to add insult to injury there, and a devastating end for the Bonnies season to come to. Buffalo moves on, and then tonight we're going to get Buffalo Farmingdale.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the craziest result that I've seen in this tournament in a long time, to get those clutch 20 seconds where you score twice when you have that much riding on a game. And Bonnie's had a very strong tournament. I mean, they were really confident riding those highs, getting those wins, and their top line was one of the best that we've seen coming into the tournament. So to just lose it all in 20 seconds, I mean, that's devastating for them.
Yeah, they gave up that second goal, which was the nail in the coffin. Then that third one, I think they just had nothing. And that after they gave up that second goal, they just had nothing left. And Buffalo took advantage of putting the third one just for good measure. So tonight, our Division I semifinals will be around that 9 o'clock hour. Buffalo, Farmingdale, Tampa, South Carolina. But Siobhan, D3 kicks off. It's happening right around us right now. The Mocs are back in the tournament, just like last year. They're up 3-2 on Alvernia. Kennesaw State down 4-2 to Quincy. Stony Brook down 4-2 to Rochester. That's happening to our right. And the number one team in D1, Miami, taking it to William Mary right now, 4-0.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting how across all of our divisions, the top teams are either these, southern kind of Florida area teams or these upstate New York teams like I'm really excited for that Farmingdale Buffalo game, especially because, I mean, the Farmingdale Binghamton game was, I mean, it was a heartbreaker. And honestly, big credit to Binghamton. They had all of their seniors and coach come in for an interview. It clearly meant a lot to them, but, you know, it goes to show that this tournament, anything can happen. And I'm really excited to see what Farmingdale has in store. I'm really excited to see what D3 has in store. It's going to be another crazy day for us.
Yeah, we will have a new Division I champion. Binghamton eliminated yesterday, and now D3 kicks off, and now everyone's here. And then we got the women's game today, Binghamton and Paul Smiths. The Tampa women's team is going to be watching on. They're hoping the team they lost to, Paul Smiths, can beat Binghamton, because if that's the case, we get Paul Smiths Tampa championship game tomorrow.
Yeah, it's such an interesting dynamic because we only have 3 teams in the women's division, so it's very interesting to see how the math works. And you know, the Binghamton women's team is so funny because they have a very light bench because they were kind of a last minute addition to this, women's division that we're starting this year. So a lot of them had vacations planned. Their presidents flew in like the morning of, and they drove from Jersey to here. So, I mean, the fact that they've been playing as hard as they have under that kind of lack of rest time is kind of hilarious to me, honestly.
And we got a long way to go. Division II trucks on through. Like we mentioned, Division III kicking off today. And then the semifinals of Division I tonight, 9 o'clock, South Carolina, Tampa, Buffalo, Farmingdale. So alongside Siobhan Nolan, rest your voice. You got a lot of interviews today. You got 4 divisions to take care of. My name is Jordan DeLuciano. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all later. Tune into the rest of the day at the AAU College Hockey National Championships.